welcome to Born for the Trades, a home service podcast. I'm your host today, Shreya. Mandeep can't be with us today. He's busy at the event here. But today we have Jayson, actually a new addition to Service MVP team, and he's here to talk about call-by-call management, which is the hottest topic that I've heard in the last 2 years. But it seems like no one really realizes how to do it, what it's really all about. There's a lot of different opinions about that. And before we dive in real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor, Elite Call Management. They are not only some of our best friends and the best people that I've met, but truthfully, I have a lot of companies ask me about outbounding, hoping to turn their CSRs into these professional outbounders doing 2 jobs at once. And a lot of companies that I've known that use an outside outbounding company to take care of those leads that we haven't nurtured, right? We've already touched them. They're very valuable, but they kind of slip through the cracks. So Elite Call does that just for you, and they directly integrate that into your CRM for you. So it's less work for you and your CSRs with a very high close rate to fill up your dispatch board there. So we'll have the link down below to get in touch with them. But back to Jayson with us here at Service MVP. So just so people know a little bit of background about you, your experience, how you got to this position at Service MVP. Can you start with that?
Yeah, no problem. So, I was first exposed to the process and philosophies around what Joe teaches at Service MVP probably 12 years ago or so, something like that. Yeah. And I was an HVAC tech and salesperson. I would kind of flip-flop around a little bit, just wherever I was needed. And I did good. My first day back after total immersion, in a single day across 2 calls, I sold about $74,000 in revenue. Those were 2 repair calls. So I felt pretty good, and from there, I was staying in touch with Joe, and we ended up selling the company actually, and the HVAC company I worked for. From there, I went to work for Joe about 3.5 years. And then after that, I went off on my own and did some other stuff, started another HVAC company, sold that. And oddly, I got into insurance sales after that.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Right?
Do you get teased about that by Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Joe's got to razz us somehow, right? He has to.
The hazing.
Yeah, exactly. And, I ended up working my way up and managing call centers and larger departments. I ended up in a situation where I was a director of sales for a really big Medicare brokerage here in Texas. But, my heart was never really in it, in the sense that I have to believe in what I'm doing, and man, I love the trades. Recently, I figured I really wanted to get back into it. I called Joe and Julie, and we went back and forth a few times and BS'd, and it was all good vibes. I've always had a great relationship with both of them, even when I left previously. So we decided, hey, let's do some call-by-call management. And, some of the stuff I learned in the call center setting, I was able to really bring to the table and really keep that pure motive mindset and kind of put the needs of the potential client first, which is something I absolutely love. Again, you have to believe in what you're doing, and man, I just have to say, thank goodness I'm back in the trades. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it happens a lot. Once you enter the trades, good luck getting out of it, because your heart almost like fuses with being in it, right? Because you go to insurance, you go to any type of other industry, and you realize that there's nobody as passionate about what they do. And there's nothing as important as trades work in a society. So it's really hard to get away from, and thank God. So we get to have access to people like you. So for the listeners, that word call by call still to this day is the most confusing, definitions. Everyone has an opinion about what their definition of call by call management is. Now, what is your definition?
Oh, just kind of a 1,000-foot view. So, really, if you think about a service call, you send the tech on this call, we're going to have 3 points where we touch bases with them. So it's once the call is dispatched, and then the post-diagnosis call, and then the post-service call wrap-up.
Debriefing.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And that is really, the simplest way to put it. But the strategy around that and the qualities you want to look for in a call-by-call manager are extremely important. I know it's tempting to take, like a really high-performing salesperson, put them in that role and have them potentially sell over Zoom. You can do that, and they would probably be quite successful. But the problem is that a true call-by-call manager isn't just there to sell and make money for, their paycheck. Really what they're there for is to elevate the whole team, everyone they manage, to that same level of excellence that, that we're hunting for, that the owner is really, when you think about running a company, when you're dreaming about it before it happens, you have this idea. And really that's what we're chasing, is that actual goal, rather than, just making it day to day. And the poor guy, is still running calls, and he's the only one that's as dedicated to the vision as, what is truly required to get that vision. So
to unpack that, there's a lot of things, and I love how specific it is. Like with the debriefing, so would the call-by-call manager replace not the dispatcher completely, but the dispatcher is usually the one that debriefs. Would they be doing the debriefing instead to lighten up the dispatcher's job?
Yes, absolutely. I prefer to have the call-by-call manager. Anything within their realm of call-by-call management, they do 100%. And you certainly don't need the dispatcher involved for that call at that point.
And they have the technical and sales expertise to be doing more quality debriefs, which are like the debriefs are training based, right?
Exactly.
And second point that you mentioned is, okay, how do we do training if we don't have a repeatable process?
Exactly.
It's just advice based on my opinion, or is it based off the science and psychology of how things work in the way that we do things here at the company? So number one, lightening up the dispatcher's job, having more quality debriefs, which are really like trainings each time, training in real time. 3 is having a repeatable process that you're going off of. So it's not just like random every single time based on, because then it would be based on how the call-by-call manager's feeling and doing all the time. Maybe they're on their A game, and then maybe they're not really there. But if you have a repeatable process, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
And then afterwards, you describe the difference between a call-by-call salesperson and a call-by-call manager. A salesperson is for themselves. A manager is for the team. And the point of the call-by-call is a service to the technician.
Exactly.
I love that description because it's to make their jobs easier. It's for them to be respected, cared for, and supported, like Joe would say, and not micromanaging.
It shouldn't feel like micromanaging.
So how do you accomplish that?
Well, it really boils down to using the right individual, for that role of call-by-call manager. Because again, I mean, if you have a salesperson doing that, but they're not a great leader, they're going to have, some incredible presentations over Zoom, and they're going to have good revenue when they're able to do that. But he may not have the leadership qualities, like being able to explain a potentially tough situation or deliver a hard message in a way that is amicable, digestible, and that makes people believe what you're saying. It brings them on board.
That's such a good point. If you were to choose between the highest producing salesperson and then the guy with the best character and qualities for leadership, which one would you choose as the call-by-call manager?
Certainly the latter. And at that point, I would just teach him to sell. Because
the belief is anyone can learn those qualities in sales, but that character is the most important foundation.
And if they have the character, then they will learn to sell. There's no doubt.
If you were to say in a perspective, because you were a technician at a certain point, the perspective of a technician, if you were to use that and imagine that you had that call-by-call manager that you were describing, what that would look like and for you on the tech side.
Wow, what a great question. But it would be someone where, say, in the morning we jump on a Zoom call and it's me and the rest of the techs and him. And as we are, talking, the main point is celebrating the wins from the day before. And
starting positive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And
not like you got to get out there and sell, like the pressure. Yeah.
No, there's no actual negativity, really even allowed in that space. If you have to deliver a tough message, if you can't do it in a way that's amicable in a group setting, you should be able to do it one-on-one. And if you can't do it one-on-one, then I question if you're in the right role, realistically.
That's so good. And it's a training opportunity, right? Exactly. That's what Joe says. It's either celebrating or it's a training opportunity because the manager and the leader is accountable for any of the mistakes of the team anyway. So it's not really their fault ever. So if you see it that way, it's not hard to not get mad at them, not go off on them, and have that kind of relationship.
Exactly. And, we talk about how in sales, really you need more of a scientific perspective. You are not emotionally involved in what the client chooses. You're not happy yourself.
That's very important. Yes.
When it comes to leadership, it's even more difficult because you need that scientific perspective on the negative emotion side. You are completely impervious to any sort of negative emotion, but on the positive side, you're over the top.
Yeah,
like you have
to connected to that, and you do care about what happens in their lives, and if they get the house that they wanted, because that's kind of on me, all the goals for their life. That's such a so you can think objectively more about the negative things. As like, what's the solution here? What's the training opportunity? And staying detached with love, sort of thing. And then on the positive side, really being connected to that is the perfect measurement of leadership there. And let's talk about now, because the point of this is why I wanted to do this podcast, really, is because I have been asked about 1 million times if it's possible to hire an outside call-by-call manager to work with a company that for whatever reason, whether they are in the position and ready to do call-by-call management, or whether they're not, and maybe they're smaller and they don't have access to that kind of training and that kind of cost that it takes to set it up. What is the solution for them? And you're introducing something really revolutionary here with your experience and expertise, plus Joe's process, plus Joe being the master of call by call. I mean, all of those ingredients together creates this new process that's coming out. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'd love to. Yeah. So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's the perfect pairing when you have Joe involved, because his process, when it comes to the sales and service side, is absolutely incredible. But realistically, the way to look at it too, with the way we're doing it, so we do have quite the wait list right now. We certainly wouldn't be able to get started with someone, say, tomorrow.
But people can still join the wait list.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, they can hop on the wait list and we'll stay in contact and certainly make it happen. But the thing is, there is no actual direct cost to our client. For sake of example, if someone, we're involved in this call and there is a $1,000 ticket, just because the math is easy, at that point, we would not actually, so our fee would not come out of that $1,000. It would go on top of the $1,000 when we build the ticket, the option sheet. And then from there, it's actually the customer, the homeowner, that pays that. So there is no direct cost. And with our current clients, there are multiple game plans there. The way I like to do it is, we bring them on board and they will eventually have technicians or salespeople that graduate out of the call-by-call management. And when they do, they're rewarded with total immersion. So it's like they've made enough money to justify sending them to this intensive training, and then they graduate. It's a big deal. They feel really good about it. And then at that point, they can run their own calls. Now, if you see them dip, if you see their numbers start to kind of, hit a trough, send them back to us and do the call by call management in a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. They're back up where they need to be. And it's just like a little refresher.
So it's not a replacement for training.
No, not at all.
It's to get to the point where you can afford training so that you can have those all-star technicians in the field on your own team. But in the meantime, you have the service of an experienced call-by-call manager that you have access to with no upfront cost, but it would just add a percentage on the job. Just like with anything else, any other service that you add to the company, you add that percentage on the job because you're charging for service. Hey, we have more service now. So that's more of an investment, right? Which is just totally normal. So it's really a convenient way for people to experience this for themselves and get to that point of training. So now there's a wait list. And how can people join this wait list or talk to you about this further?
Well, shoot me an email, jason@servicemvp.com. I spell my name weird. It's Jayson. Or they can reach out to you, of course.
Of course, I'll turn it over to Jayson.
Yeah, absolutely. Servicemvp.com works as well.
What about your Facebook? Do you have a Facebook?
I do, yeah. Reach out on Facebook. I just started a Facebook specifically for this, so that's local.
Awesome. I'm going to link your Facebook below, put your email below, and your contact info so people can reach out, maybe your phone number. So they can reach out and get more information about this because, the most important thing is, what is call by call and what's the solution? There's two solutions. Implementing call by call at your own company, right? Which takes a lot of training. I'm pretty strict when people ask me to implement call by call. I'm like, well, there's a lot of setup and training we need to do first if you want to do it in-house in your company. It's not something that you can just throw together and throw up on the company. It has to be carefully done. Because then it seems like micromanaging. Nobody knows what's going on. It's not very effective in that way. You might have picked the wrong person. And then the other solution is the fastest, easiest solution is just to start doing it. With Jason's team, the call-by-call sector over there. So we're going to have information on that down below. And then is there anything else that you feel like is important for them to know before we sign up?
So a couple things, like we can also get intensive enough in terms of our involvement in the call-by-call management to where it's not just those 3 points of contact. That's where we start, but we can also get to the point where we are literally in contact with the guy, monitoring him, the tech, the salesperson, as he's moving through the call, and he can hear us and we can hear him and the customer coming through.
Using CXC or Rilla, using the AI ride-along devices, which is really the only way to use those devices effectively is through call-by-call management. Because if we're not reading the call and we're not there on the call with them as it's coming in, then it's kind of just like finding out later. Similar to the way that we're doing it now. So you do work with AI software and they utilize that as well.
And we can even just keep like Zoom open with the mic pointing up and literally hear it. So there are multiple ways to do it. And the other thing too is that for some people, the game plan, with when they have us do the call by call management, actually is not even to graduate their technicians out of it or anything like that. We just work with them indefinitely, and you can take some really old school guys and keep paying them their hourly wage, etc. And then at that point, they get to just be the old school tech, and we get to be the salespeople.
Like they want.
Wins.
That's what they want anyways.
It works really well.
Well, awesome. Thanks for clarifying everything for everybody today, because this is like the hottest topic that nobody knows about, but everyone knows about, and it's just very confusing. So this clarified a lot. You articulated it so perfectly.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming on, and
I appreciate you having me.
At a certain point. Yeah, of course. And thanks so much to the listeners for supporting us. We appreciate you so much. Until next time.